Let's get it, let's get it, let's get it, let's get it. Aswan Cruikshank, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, checking in for a daily Move Swiftly thought, giving you a perspective on teamwork that you will not get anywhere else. First time ever actually having to do this because running and got caught in a rainstorm and checked my weather app actually, and it said the rain's supposed to stop in 9 minutes. So instead of waiting around and for the rain to stop and things like that, I said, you know what? I know I got to record my video the end of every day or every day. I pride myself on making sure I put a video out every single day. Why not just record it now as opposed to wasting time or wasting time for the rain to stop or not maximizing my time, my most valuable resource, which is time and things like that. But get the stuff that you know you're going to need to do out now, which again is a lesson on a lesson as we start today. Make sure whatever happens in life, things that you can't control, like the weather, that'll stop you from your progress, what you initially planned. Make sure you're maximizing your time. Make sure you're maximizing your time. Making sure you're getting the most efficient usage out of your time, regardless of whatever actually happens to you, whatever unforeseen circumstance happens to you that you can't control, like the weather, all right? So, as far as today's Move Swiftly thought, after I give you that initial gem, initial lesson, today's Move Swiftly thought is, again, another top 5 list for the week, all right? Another top 5 list for the week, and seeing that basketball season is getting really, really exciting right now. You got teams moving on, got new stars are emerging. You know, the NBA is in the transition phase where we're seeing the new young talent start to become the main superstars. You know, my generation of athletes when I was young, they're all kind of retired, doing podcasts now, or doing whatever it is they're doing. I have to, this week's top 5 list is my top 5 all-time favorite basketball movies. All right, again, kid growing up in the DMV, basketball was it. Basketball was the thing. So I had a huge affection for for sports movies in general, but basketball movies hit a little bit different. It hit a little bit different because of the community and where I grew up, right? So coming in at number 5, top 5 basketball, again, this week's list, this week's top 5 list, top 5 basketball movies that I've ever seen, in my opinion, in the ballot of Aswan Cruikshank. Coming in at number 5, we got Glory Road, starring Derek Luke, who also played Boobie Miles. It documented the Texas Western, I believe, Texas Western, if I'm not mistaken, basketball team when they integrated and they had the majority, played all the, you know, they went and beat Kentucky, and I can't remember the year it was, but basically they were the first team to start all 5 black players in the NCAA College Basketball National Championship. They beat Kentucky, and they documented it in a movie titled Glory Road. So that's coming in number 5. All right, number 4, Coach Carter. Mr. Samuel L. Jackson. For obvious reasons, man. He played that role really well. I thought it was a great depiction, and again, that coach. I remember actually during that time when it comes to all the suicides that he had him doing and everything that was documented. I mean, the world, basketball coaches around the world started getting some crazy ideas in terms of how many suicides people were gonna do and all that stuff. And you know, I to this day, that is actually the thing that introduced me to one of my favorite quotes by Marianne Williamson, which is, our deepest fear is not that we're inadequate. Deepest fear is that we're powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who are we to be bold, beautiful? The real question is, who are you not to be? Again, all that entire quote that's worldwide famous now, I learned because I watched that movie, all right? So that's number 3. Oh, no, that's number 4. So number 3 comes in more of a romantic film, but still sports. You know, again, like I said, I have a huge affection for these sports movies. Coming in number 3 is Love and Basketball. Omar Epps and Nana Lathan. All right, classic movie that I actually watched with my sister. I remember watching, this was back in the days when DVDs was around, and we bought the DVD. We had the DVD at the house, and I remember watching it for the first time, and I fell asleep on it. And my sister woke me up, and she was so moved at that end scene where it's one-on-one, Omar Epps and Sanaa Lathan. And, you know, obviously he's not going to let a girl beat his ass. But, you know, instead of just letting it go, Omar Epps goes, you know, double or nothing. And, you know, my sister was, like, moved by that. I guess she was moved by that scene, right? So that's number 3. Coming in, number two, top 5 basketball movies that I've seen. Number 2, Sunset Park. What time is it? It's time to get live. It's time to represent Sunset Park. What time is it? Oh, Shorty doo-wop. Shorty doo-wop, man. I ain't gonna lie to you. I know, I don't even know, like, the guy's real name, I believe it's Fredro, so I know him as Shorty doo-wop. Shorty doo-wop, man. And got the white coach coming in and coaching these black boys from Brooklyn. And it was just a great story in terms of how sports is a great equalizer, And just go watch the movie. It's a great movie. It's Sunset Park, coming in at number 2. Number 1, greatest basketball movie of all times, all right? That I've seen personally, that I've witnessed, and that had the most effect on my life. You already know. Mr. He Got Game. Starring Denzel Washington, Ray Allen, and Shuttlesworth. And in fact, if you really watch the movie, you'll notice that actually Rick Fox was in that movie as well. He was one of the people that hosted Shuttlesworth on his basketball visit, and you see what his acting career has become and all that. There was so many. I watched that movie with my family in the theaters, actually, and again, that sex scene where he was at the college and he's fucking the shit out of these 2 white girls. It was like an eye-opening thing for me because I was so young when I saw it that it hit a little different, and you know, it taught me a lot in terms of the recruiting, the way we exploit these young athletes, and it obviously built a lot in me. It taught me a lot in terms of how I go about running my business, or how I go about trying to work with athletes, and, you know, making sure I'm not in the world where I'm exploiting them in any way or things like that, because that's really what that movie was about. The Spike Lee joint, you had Denzel Washington, who played the father who's in jail, but he comes out of jail to try to get his son to commit to a certain university. So he's just as he's exploiting them the same way that all these people around him. And it was amazing. In fact, after I watched it, I remember my mother making a comment to my father, because this was new to them. Again, they're from Trinidad. They don't know, you know, the sports world like that. And she was in shock. She was just like, whoa, is it really like that's how it is? When they get that good, they bleed into, they exploit the kids like that, and they turn them into like the savior of the community and all that. So it was eye-opening for my family, especially, you know, growing up in a Caribbean household, and sons and me, myself, I'm very into sports and all that kind of stuff. It really did. There's a great deal of cultural significance when it comes to He Got Game. All right, so just to recap, top 5 list for the week. Coming in at 5, Glory Road. Number 4, Coach Carter. Number 3, Love and Basketball. Number 2, Sunset Park. Number 1, He Got Game. All right. Main website to check out to dive deeper into all my work, MakeYaMove.com. That's MakeYaMove.com. One-stop shop for your teamwork and your self-development needs. As one Crookshank, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, checking out. You guys continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon.